All right, all right, all right. Welcome to my first YouTube episode. And this is just me and my cousin. We just vibing, we talking, media, presenting, cash and Q. We doing a little. We're talking about. I'm a truck driver, so people want to start off becoming a truck driver. What we're gonna do is, uh, Cuz got a couple questions for me, and I'm gonna go through them and try to answer them the best I can, so people who want to become truck drivers, they know where to get started. So this is basically like a get started guide on where people want to, as far as becoming a truck driver. All right, cuz I'm Q,
Right.
and this is
Well, all
Cash.
right. This is Cash. Thank you, Q, for taking the time to introduce me and taking the time to be out here with with the folks out here. And we're gonna do a little Q&A there. Pick your mind, pick your brain on some trucking.
All right.
And the first thing that I want to know is, how did you get started?
So how to get started and how I got started was, what you want to do is you want to go do research as you're doing now, because you probably looked me up, not looked me up, but looked up this question, how to get started. First thing you want to know is, are you qualified to become a truck
Okay.
driver? So to be qualified, there's four things that you don't want to have, or that you want to know it's clear for you to be able to get started before you even go on the journey. First thing you want to know, if you're medically cleared. So medically cleared just means that you don't have any high blood pressure, like your blood pressure can't be high. You can't be taking high blood pressure medicine. And then the other thing is, your driving record has to be clean. So you can't have DUIs on there. You can't be speeding. You can't have anything that is considered reckless on your driving record for the past, I want to say, 2 to 3 years. 3 years is on the safe side. It might be just 2 years. I don't think they can go past 2 years. Like I said, this is not stuff. This is just rough getting to look into it. Make sure you go do your own research. But this is a good start, right? You definitely want to make sure uh, your driving record's good. And then the last thing is drug testing. Some companies are doing hair follicles, so they want you to give up some hair. I
You
think you
hear
go,
that, folks?
yeah, you giving up some hair, so those things go back a little bit further. So you want to make sure you clean. I would say at minimum you want to be clean for 90 days. At minimum, you want to be clean for 90 days. At minimum. So you want to do your research big time on, if you've been smoking weed or doing whatever drugs you've been doing. You want to make sure you know how long it stays in your system before you get cleared up, because some of these companies are doing hair follicle tests. Most of them urine tests, damn near all of them, and then some add additional hair follicles. So I think 100% of them do urine tests for sure before you get hired. That's a federal thing, so it's not like it's
Okay.
something you can get by. But those are the three things that you have to have just to qualify you to become a truck driver.
Thank you, Q, for letting us know what makes you qualify. Now, after your qualification, the next step I would presume would be finding a school. Let's walk us through those steps.
Finding a school, basically, so now you know that you qualify. So now you want to know where to go get your license, your CDL license, because the CDL license is not something that you could just go to the DMV and be like, I want to get a CDL. What happens is, most of these companies, these major companies that, like, see, let's say FedEx, or there's a lot of them out there, right? There's thousands and thousands of different companies out there that has truck driver jobs. A lot of them want you to have experience first, so you have to start off in the companies that hire new drivers. Company like FedEx does not hire new drivers. Companies like UPS do not hire for new drivers. You have these companies that hire new drivers that are called, like, you have Trans Am, you have
Okay.
Stevens Transport, you have
Shout out to Trans Am and Stevens.
companies like CR England. You have companies like
Our English. Yeah.
CRST, yeah, CR England. You have companies like Warner and Warren. They all hire new drivers. So you definitely want to talk to them. But before you talk to them, Some of them you have to go to school first. Some of them have schools already. So companies like CR England, companies like I want to say Warner has a school. CR England has a school, and CRST has a school, but they're slowing it down now. Swift is another one. Swift is huge. That's a big one. Swift Knight, they're
Okay.
called. So those are companies that has schools. But if you want to go to what we call private school, where you just pay for it yourself, or you get somebody else to pay for it, you just go to. You have those schools also. They, if you live in the Florida region, they have companies like Roadmasters. They have other companies. The company I went to, the school I went to, is called Suncoast Trucking Academy. They're in Northport now, Northport, Florida now. So you definitely want to call those places up. I might have,
Shouts out to anybody viewing from Northport.
yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'll put a couple of those in the link below. That way you can go check them out if you want to go check those places out, those schools out. Now, so that's just to get to school. But now, once you get to school, you find out about the school. You have I think 4 different ways you can pay for school, because school is not free. Whenever you hear school, you got to pay private school or whatever. You got to pay for it. So one is you let the company that you're going to go work for pay for your schooling. So let's say you're going to go work for CRST. You can go to their school and basically they'll pay for it for you, and you'll just be under contract for a certain amount of time to work off the money that you owe them. Basically, you still get paid after you start driving and everything, but you just they get you under contract for a little bit. I don't know if they're going to still be doing this by the time this goes out, but you got different companies that do that. Any one of these companies that has their own school, right? They basically want you to be under contract for a certain amount of time, or they want you to pay back the money while you work for them.
Completely understandable.
It's like you buy now, pay later type deal, right? You pay with your
Okay.
labor. The second way you can do it is you can pay cash, right? Cash is king always. So you're gonna pay anywhere between 3 to 6 grand, anywhere in between there. A lot of people are gonna ask how long is school. That depends on the school. Some schools are 3 weeks, maybe, all the way up to I've seen. I don't think they have them type of schools anymore where they make you stay for 6 months or 8 months or whatever. I don't think they have those type of schools anymore because people are turning out quickly. I think the most I've seen recently is 6 weeks. So anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, you can be going to school. You can be in class for. So you'll learn all the different things that you have to learn to pass the test to get in there. All right. So once you find out about the school, other way you can pay for it is financing. You can finance the money. If your credit is good or if you have somebody who could co-sign for you, you can do that. And then the fourth way is the government can pay for it. You can go to what's called the unemployment office, and they usually have a program sometimes, depending on how much funding they have, that helps pay for it. It takes a little bit longer to go that route, but you can go that route too if you don't want to pay for it, if you don't want to be on a contract or something like that. But after the government pays for it, you get your job. You don't owe no money or anything like that. They just happy you got a job. So you can do that. Next, after you find your school and you figure out how you're going to pay for it, we know that we qualified. We know what school we're going to go to. We know how we're going to pay for it. Now, the next step is you want to get your permit. Permit is just like what it is. It's just like how when you got your learner's permit to go start driving, it's the same thing. So you have to take 3 different tests to get your permit. Test number one, no, there's no particular order. There's 3 tests. You have air brakes, and then you have general knowledge. Uh, when I took the test, it was
Combination, air brakes, and general knowledge.
right combination air brakes and general knowledge. When I took the test, general knowledge was 50 questions that they asked, and air brakes was 20 questions, and combinations was 20 questions. So it's 3 separate tests. You have to pass all 3 of those tests to get your permit. Now your permit's only good for 90 days. Your permit lets you is what enables you to get in the truck and do backing maneuvers, because in school you're going to learn how to back up. You're going to learn the different maneuvers. There's 4 or 5 different types of backups that you have to learn. That's what's going to help you get into the truck to learn how to back up and to drive it around. Learn how to make your left turn, your right turn, and stuff like that. How to stop, all that kind of stuff. You have to get your permit. So some people they get their permit before they go to school. So you figure out what school you're going
Mm.
to. They go ahead and get their permit. That way, when they go to the school, they're not stressing in school because there's no pressure. Some people are in school, they don't have their permit. They're going to class trying to get their permit. They're in the books and stuff like that trying to get their permit. The wise thing I would say for you to do is to go get your permit first before you enroll in the school. Now, when you get into school, you got 90 days to pass the test to get your license, right? You just make sure you have all your ducks in a row. If you do it the right way, you can go get your permits from the DMV because it's a multiple choice test. It's called the written test basically. And then you go to DMV and you get that done and then you go to school. Let's say you're going to start school on Monday, right? Let's say you start in school on Monday. So the week before, you you get the test done, right? Let's say the week you start the following Monday before, and you go in there and go get your permits, all three tests, you get them done. That way you have it, and when you go to school, you don't have to worry about it. You're not stressing as much. This is just the easier way to do it.
Right.
So let's say so the next step is let's say you got your school, you got your permit, you got your license, you're done, you graduated, and now you are looking to get on the road. Now you're looking to get on the road. You're looking for a company to hire you after you got your license. Whether you, let's say you didn't go through a company, right? Let's say you didn't go through CRST, you went through a private school. Now you got to get hired from a company to go and get your things, get you a job or whatnot. There's a few places you can go through that takes beginners. I named a few of them already. I have a certain way that I would go about doing, and that I'll leave that for later on. But there's certain things that you need while you're on the road. So I'm gonna talk about a few things that you need, essential things that you need, the must-haves that you have to have while you're on the road.
That's what I want to get into. What are the must-haves that you must have on the road? What do you need? The essentials of trucking.
Okay, so must-haves that you have to have on the road while you're on your truck. You got to have water. You got to have a flashlight because things happen at night. You got to have I call it like your first aid kit. You can get a small one at Walmart. You can get a big one at Walmart.
Okay.
And then you have to have a certain amount of cash on you. I would say anywhere from 250 to about 500 bucks cash. And then you have, I would say another anywhere from five to $1,000 on some type of credit card or debit card or whatever, because you don't want to get stuck somewhere and you can't get out of that area. Let's say, because things happen, right? Let's say
Yeah.
there's an emergency at the house, you need to go back home, and you're all the way in Utah, right? You want to be able to get to the first fly out or bus station or whatever. So you want to be able to buy your ticket and get out. Or let's say you break down in the middle of nowhere and all they have is corner stores, but none of them take credit cards. You want to have some cash. You always, or you go to a motel, you just want to pay for your motel cash, so you don't have to worry about pulling out a credit card. So you always want to have that type of stuff with you. So water, one, your water, you want to have a first aid kit, you want to have cash, and you want to have money on a credit card. And then I can't think of nothing off the top of my head as far as must-haves. Oh, another must-have is a lot of people don't think about this, but you got to have good shades because you're driving all
Oh,
the
good
time.
shade.
Yeah, you got to have good
What
shades,
type would
man.
you recommend? What would you recommend since you're in
Any,
the sun a lot?
anything that has polarized lens in them. Anything that's
Okay.
gonna block you from that sun, because that's what's gonna hurt you is the sun. The glare off the sun from the ground, if it was raining, if there was snow, because that it's gonna hurt you in the long run. So you want to have some good shades. But I'm not gonna name a company name. I'm just gonna say, just I have my personal
It's
brand that I like.
polarized.
Yeah, just anything that's polarized that's gonna help you out with the sun. And
So
then
now we'll get into. Do you have any tips that you'd like to give anybody viewing? Any of your trucking tips? Anything you want to? Any of the jewels?
yeah, I got some real good tips, and I'm gonna run through them real quick. I got about a good six of them that you should know while you're out here. I'm gonna I'm gonna go through them real quick. I'll try to do them in 5 minutes. All right. So first things first, you want to have your mental right. When I say your mental right, mentally, you want to be there, right? You don't want no outside distractions. You don't want to be worried about your girlfriend. You don't want to be worried about your wife. You don't want to be worried about your family, right? You can worry about them, but you don't want to be thinking the worst thing. So stay in the present and try not to have negative thoughts, because if you're stressed out, it's gonna affect you out on the road. Any little thing that somebody does to you out on the road, they cut you off, they put their brakes on in front of you, or whatever. Somebody's taking too long to go. You're in the aisle trying to get fuel, stuff like that. All that stuff is gonna bother you, and you're not gonna be healthy, right? That's part
All
one.
right.
And then number two, understanding that this is a lifestyle. This is not a job. This is something that you do as a lifestyle. It's like a skater. A skater skates. He's gonna bust his ass sometimes, right? He gonna fall. He's gonna be trying to do tricks and he's gonna break bones and stuff like that. You have to understand that you are living a lifestyle. This is not something that's just a job, a 9 to 5. It's not a 9 to 5 because you're doing it 24/7. When you're not home, right? You're in the truck. You're living in the truck. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not in the truck for 6 hours and then you're going home. You're not in the truck for 9 hours and then you're going home, back to your wife, back to your kids, or see your homeboys, your partners and stuff. No, you're 3,000 miles away from the house. You're 1,200 miles away from the house. You can't just go home, right? If you're gonna drive, you're gonna be anywhere from 20 hours, 10 to 20 hours away from the house, right? Something you have to fly home or whatever. So this is a lifestyle. This is something that you're doing out on the road. You're eating out on the road. You're sleeping out on the road. You're using the bathroom out on the road. Like when I say out on the road, I just mean you're not home. You're taking a shower out on the road, right? So you're not gonna have the luxury of doing all the things you used to do. All right. Tip number three is sleeping habits. The federal law wants you to sleep 6 to 8 hours uninterrupted. That's what the law states. Uninterrupted means that you're going to sleep from 12 midnight to 6 to 8 in the clock in the morning, right? They want you to have uninterrupted sleep. Now, yes, do you wake up? Yeah, you wake up, but they don't want you to be waking up and then start driving for like you wake up 4 hours in and start driving, and then when you feel tired again, you go back to sleep. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to have 6 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, and you have to be off your clock for like 10 hours straight.
Remember that, folks. Six to
Yeah,
eight hours uninterrupted sleep.
uninterrupted sleep. So like you need to do that so you can be able, your mental will be right, you're not stressing, right? You got enough sleep and you be able to keep it moving out on the road without being tired, because you don't want to be on the road going like this. You don't want to be nodding
Yeah.
off on the road. That's
Oh yeah.
illegal.
Not a,
That's illegal.
yeah.
You're not allowed to do that, so you don't want to be doing that. Next is your eating. So
Oh yeah. What about the eating habits?
eating
Tips.
is something that you're gonna struggle with unless you are a dietitian, right? It's something you're gonna struggle with because you don't have the luxury of having the best foods all the time. Now you can set it up to where you do have the best foods, but you got to be very disciplined. You go shopping, you put your food up in your refrigerator, because you can have a refrigerator, you can have a cooler, right? So you just have to be very disciplined on what you want to do. Some people eat fast food all the time. Some people don't eat good food all the time neither. That's how a lot of people gain a lot of weight.
One thing that I know that you're gonna mention as an essential when it comes to the eating is what's something that you use to cook. That's something that you like that I would say is a must have. You tell me about it all the time. That cook pot.
Oh, the crock pot, the
Yeah, the crock
Instapot,
pot.
the insta.
Pot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not gonna,
yeah.
I'm not gonna endorse everything right now. I'm just gonna say you need to find something. I'm just giving general knowledge.
Knowledge.
I'm just gonna give them general knowledge on stuff, nothing in
Okay.
depth. I'm just gonna do general knowledge. So that is something that you can have in the truck. The next thing is you got to understand, what do you want to drive in the long run for your career as having a CDL. Do you want to drive OTR, which is over the road, which means you're going from state to state all over the place, all 48 states, Mexico, Canada, that's over the road, right? Or you can do local, right? Local just means you just driving in your city. You might go to the next city over and then come back or whatever, but that's local. And then you have regional. So you would really go over the road, regional, then local. So regional is, let's say I live in Florida, and I go from Florida to Georgia or Alabama, and then I come back, or Florida to South Carolina, and then I come back. Those are regional jobs. You're just in an area, so that would be considered just the South, the Southeast. You just stay in that area. Some
So
people who
you're in that
live,
southeast region.
yeah, so let's say somebody lives in Ohio and all he does is go to Chicago and back. That's a regional job. He just regional. He just goes to Chicago and he comes back, or he goes to Indianapolis and he comes back type deal. Less than 500 miles. You're driving like 500 miles throughout the day, right? You're going 250 and 250, right? 250 up, 250 down. You're doing 500 miles, or 300 up, 300 back, right? That's a regional job. You're home. You can be home either every day or every other day type deal, right? You live in Atlanta, you go down to Miami, and then you come back. Something like that, right?
All right.
And
So
then
you do have options.
yeah, and then the last thing, the other thing, the number five would be after you get your experience, you can there's other things that you can do, right? Besides over the road, there's other different type of vehicles you can use because you're gonna be in a CMV, which is a commercial motor vehicle, right? You have buses that holds passengers, right? And then you have dump trucks also. And there's plenty of other things that you can do with the CDL. Those are different vehicles that you can be using with the CDL. So that's something you can always pay attention to. And then last thing, you got to understand that there is highs and lows in the transportation business, right? So you got to understand they come fast. The highs and lows are up and down, and they come fast. So one week you're good, next week you're low, right? You might be in the high for 3 weeks, and next you know you're in the low for a week or two. So you got to understand when your highs come around, take your time, right? Enjoy them while they're here. Enjoy your highs, but remember that there is going to be lows. So I don't want to take too long with my recording. I don't want to take too long with this whole thing. So those are my tips, and those are my ways to get started out here. Until next time, I'll go into depth. If you have any questions, leave some comments down there. You can say, hey, Q, I want to learn about this. I want to know about that. So just let me know, and we'll get back to you on that. So I want to
All
let you.
right.
So have a great day. And until next time, Q and Cash is out.
All right. We are out.